In today's tutorial, we're learning how to make this beautiful aviation presentation in PowerPoint all the way from scratch using cool 3D elements in PowerPoint. And we're making this very dynamic, so it's a very cool, inspiring presentation that you could use to captivate the attention of the audience. The 3D models can really be used to elevate your presentation and make it very dynamic. It's going to be a step-by-step process where I explain everything from making the slides to animating and adding the final details at the end. If you want to follow along in the tutorial, this is the color scheme that I've used. You can pause the video and add the color codes to your presentation if you want. And if you want to save time and use templates, I have multiple templates available that you can download via the link in the description below, and that will save you a lot of time when making presentations. And for this tutorial, we're starting from the website Sketchfab. This is a 3D model database where we can find a lot of nice things. So in the search bar at the top, I'm going to type in plane. Of course, you can type in any object or thing that you like. And this gives you a lot of options of 3D models. You can see some of them are paid, but other ones are free. And if you scroll down the page, you see that there's a lot of different variations of models. If you hover over one, you can rotate it, and you can kind of see a little preview of the 3D model that you want. There's a lot of versions available. Some of them are more realistic, while others look more like a cartoonish 3D style. If you scroll down the page, you see these are very realistic ones that you could use. So depending on the project that you're doing, you can choose any one that you like. I'm going to choose the one at the top here. I kind of like this cartoonish vibe that the airplane has, and I think it will fit nicely in the presentation. Also here you can drag, scroll outwards to zoom, or scroll in to look at some of the details. So you can really see if you like the model. If you want to download it, you can scroll down, read all of the information that is available, and then click on 3D model. This gives us the option to download multiple file types. We're looking for this GLB format. And once you have that, you can click download. Next, we jump back into PowerPoint. And once we're back into PowerPoint, we go to the Insert tab, 3D models, and here we have the option. Either you can use standard stock models. I'll quickly show you what those are. Those are the built-in 3D models in PowerPoint. So if you choose any of the categories that you like, for example, toys, you can see there's multiple 3D model toys that you could use. You can select it and add it, but in our case, we want something more professional, more customized. So I'm going to use a 3D model that we've downloaded. Select the 3D models and choose from this device. And here in our download section, you can see that you have the GLB file and you just click insert. Give it a few seconds to import in the slide, and this gives us the 3D model. I'm going to scale it up just a little bit. And this gives us the working area, or this gives us the 3D model in the slide. You can see it's a transparent background, so that's pretty nice to work with. In the middle, we have this rotating arrows, which if you click and hold, you can drag around the 3D model on the slide. And that's the effect that we're going to use on our presentation. Because here's the nice thing, if you use these 3D models, let's make this one just a little bit bigger. And if you just duplicate the slide and then select the 3D model and you rotate it, and then you apply the transitions, morph transition, this way the model will actually turn in real time during the transition. And that's the effect that we want to create in our presentation. Of course, we're going to make it look a lot nicer, but that's the main idea of the tutorial. So first thing we want to do is we want to make the background look nicer. So we're going to format background, and we're going to use a gradient fill. Because we have our color palette installed, we can choose any of the gradients that we want. And I kind of like this one where there's this lighter area in the bottom of the slide, where it gradually turns darker towards the edges. This gives us a little bit the feeling of a clear blue sky, and that's what we want to have in this presentation. Now for this slide, we're starting with the second slide. I'll show you why in a second. That's just a bit of easier workflow. And I'm going to turn the airplane just like this so that it's flying into the slide. Maybe just a little bit bigger. I think we can go quite large with this 3D model. Now let's go to the Insert tab, and we're going to add some text to the slide. Add a text box. Drag it on the screen, and let's just type in model, because we can add the airplane model if you want. Go to home, and we're going to give it the font chunk 5. Make it white, and let's type in font size 75. Increase that by just a little bit. And this is quite a cool font, I think, that goes well together with the style of the airplane. It reminds me a bit of a font that you would see in a game, a video game, and that goes well with the airplane. It's not hyper realistic, but it's a little bit more cartoonish, playful vibe to it. So now we're going to add a text box to the slide and drag that below the model and drop in some dummy text. For the dummy text, we're going to put it on 14, and I'm using the font type Avenir Next and Ultra Light. That goes quite well with the very bold font of the title here. Maybe position them just a bit down. That looks quite good. Now let's duplicate the slide and select the first one, because we're going to start with the opening slide. And here we want to hold Control and scroll backwards, or you can use this toggle to zoom in and out of the presentation. And we're going to drag the model outside of the slide. We're also going to make it just a little bit smaller, hold Control and Shift to scale it from the center. And let's also turn it just a little bit, so that if we add the morph transition, the airplane will kind of fly in nicely. These two text boxes, we don't need them on the first slide, so we're going to drag them outside and then drag everything to the left. I'm going to copy and paste the title here because we can reuse the font, center it, and call it Aviation. Maybe a few ticks bigger because it's the opening keyword. So that is the first slide done. The second slide we already had. Now let's look at creating the third slide. I'll add the animations in the end because we're going to add some final touches with the clouds and everything. Right click, duplicate the slide. And here we want to talk about the wingspan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to center the airplane so that it faces directly from the front. Maybe turn it a little bit because the model itself is tilted just a bit. And place that in the center. There we go, that looks quite nice. The text, I'm going to change it to wingspan and center that nicely in the middle. A few ticks smaller. And for the text, I'm going to reduce the content and make 3 text boxes that we can use at the bottom of the slide. Let's put one here, center the text, hold Ctrl Shift, create a copy, and hold Ctrl Shift once more to create another duplicate. And then space them evenly. This way the slide looks kind of balanced with the airplane, the text below it, all neatly positioned in a cool line on the slide. So that is our second slide. Now let's see what we can do with the next slide. And also this one, I'm going to animate them all at the end so we don't mess up the morph transition. Let's remove the text boxes. And I'm going to make the plane a bit smaller and rotate it like this. Maybe just slight tilt. So we kind of have it fly out of the screen if we then position it on the side here. And maybe make it a bit smaller so it looks like it's going upwards. Now we want to add some content to the slide here. And for that, I'm going to drag this wingspan to the center. And let's call it top speed. Center it in the middle. And then maybe copy one of these boxes below. And let's say 140 miles per hour. Increase the font size. Let's try around 28. And make it italic. This could be quite a cool slide, but we're going to add a nice element to it. And for that, I'm going to copy the 3D model, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, paste it in the middle of the slide, rotate it so we see the side of the plane, and then just position it horizontally so that it's flying like a regular plane. Now we have this 3D model and we don't want to mess the morph transition. So if we add multiple of the 3D models on the slide, the morph will kind of act funny. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut, Ctrl X, Ctrl V to paste it. And this gives us the option to paste as a picture. So if I now add this as a picture, this I can no longer move it as a 3D object, but it acts as a picture on its own. So what we want to do is we want to have the effect the airplane flies in and kind of pulls up or pulls the title with it, the top speed title. So it kind of flies across the screen. That's the effect that we want to create. For that, we're going to place the airplane on the left. And then on the previous slide, we must place it on the right. So for this one, I'll just copy the text boxes and add that behind the plane. And now let's see if we add the morph transition, what is happening. So if we add the morph transition, we kind of see that everything flies in nicely. I'll put this one away a bit further because it came in quite fast and put the timing to 2.5. Let's see what that part looks like because it's a bit of a tricky one for this presentation. We have the existing elements on the slide, so wingspan, the 3D model and the text. And as soon as we click, The 3D model flies away and the airplane that comes across kind of pulls the next title in. And that is because we tell PowerPoint that this is a 3D model. On the next slide, the 3D model should be here, so that one flies away. And then because we have this as a picture, it acts as its own object. Same with the title and subtitle. And we tell on the next slide, the picture should be on this side and the title should remain in the middle. So it kind of looks like it's pulling the title with it. Put it a bit closer. And that gives quite a nice effect in PowerPoint. Now, because we're messing with the morph a little bit and we're going into quite a lot of detail, I'm going to duplicate this slide and remove the 3D model for this one. Same with the image. And then we're going to start with a clean 3D model. So let's paste that one here. Let's turn it so we see the top side of the model like this. So it's like a top-down view. We're going to make it just a bit smaller so it's fitting nicely on the slide. A bit bigger. There we go. And then position it on the left of the slide. Let's duplicate this slide once more. Top speed we no longer need. And let's create the next slide. For that, I want to create the model that looks like this. And let's copy some of the text elements. Let's say we want to mention that it's a two-seater, 2 seats. And then the text box, we can add it below. What would be nice in this case if we align everything to the right side. And then same with the text. This one maybe just a few ticks smaller. That looks quite good once everything is aligned. The airplane, I feel we can even make it bigger. So it sort of crosses the border of the slide. I think that gives a bit more of an immersive dynamic feeling to this slide. But I do want to have the edges so that both circles are kind of around the same distance of the top of the slide or the bottom of the slide, so that everything looks nicely balanced. And just a tick to the left so that the space here is the same as the space here and on this side, or roughly about the same space. I think that always adds for a more balanced feel on your presentation. Let's duplicate once more and turn the object to the side so we see the side, and then rotate it, maybe make it bigger. The text we can drag out for now. There we go. And then we duplicate once more and drag the airplane all the way out of the slide. And maybe copy the text here and do like a nice, this we don't need, do like a nice thank you message. Thank you for watching. Thank you for attending the presentation, whatever you want to close with. So what we've done now is we've created a whole bunch of slides. And if we click through them, we have an opening slide. Let's not look at the animations yet. We have an opening slide. We have a slide where we explain the model of the airplane, the wingspan, the top speed. Here we went a little bit in detail already. A duplicate of the top speed. This is like a clean break where we start fresh with the animation. A two-seater, we explain it's a two-seater plane. A side view, you can add any info that you like. And then a thank you slide. Now we want to animate all of these elements on the slide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of them and add the morph transition. What we need to be aware of is that the morph transition always takes in account the elements on one slide and the next slide. So if you add the morph transition to this slide, the second slide, it will look where are the elements on the previous slide. So we have 3 elements. We have a 3D model, we have a title and a subtitle. The 3D model on the previous slide, it is here, outside of the slide and in a different angle. So what it's going to do is going to modify it and put it in the right place while turning the 3D model, which gives the fly-in effect. This also means that we have to look at the second and third element, the title and subtitle, and we want to fly them in from the side, so they should pop in like this. If we don't do anything with the element, it will kind of just fade away. So this aviation title, it will fade away. Let's see what that looks like. So we have the opening slide, aviation. As soon as we click, the 3 elements fly in. So the big airplane, the title and the subtitle. Now let's put everything correct for the other slides, which is we have 3 elements, airplane, title, subtitle. The airplane we want to keep because it's going to be facing forward. So we keep that element, we face it forward. The model and the text, we can get rid of it. So I think we can paste it on the left here so it flies out again, or you can just delete it so it fades out. And these 3 elements, those are new. So we're going to copy them to the next or to the previous slide. and then space them apart just a little bit. This way, if we add the morph transition, and let's preview, we tell PowerPoint, look, these are the 3 aspects, rotate the plane, and then fly in the elements. The wingspan we kind of missed, so it kind of faded in. If we want to add that to the animation, we can just paste it on the previous slide and drag it upwards. Preview again. And here we can see now if we click, everything rotates and the wingspan also drops down from the top, which is quite clean. We do the same from slide 3 to slide 4. So what we have here is, first of all, the element. We have a lot of elements on this slide. This one, it will move to the top left, so it kind of flies out. That we've seen already. The 3 elements, I'll just have them fade out. We don't need to animate those. And then we have this picture on the side with the title of the next slide. So those elements, those 3, they will fly in and become those 3. The rest, it will kind of fade out. That will look nice. And then the element will, or the 3D model, it will fly to the top. Let's see what that looks like. So we have our nice slide. As soon as we click, everything will nicely flow out and the new title will appear. For the next transition, we will just do a non-transition. So it's just a click that we have to do. And consider this as kind of a reset of the animation, because I don't want to overcomplicate it with the 3D model. So I'm going to add an extra click. The audience won't notice, but I'll just click once more. The reason for that is because I want to use the 3D model on the right side. If I didn't use this extra slide, the 3D model would weirdly shift towards this side and it kind of shows in the picture, and I didn't want that. So that's why I'm using like a buffer slide to clear everything up. So this way we start from this clean palette, title, subtitle, and 3D element. And on the next slide, we make sure that the element becomes bigger and moves to the left and takes in the title and subtitle with it. So for that, we need to add the title and subtitle also to the left or to the right of the airplane. Let's see what that looks like with Morph. As soon as we click, the airplane flies in and takes the nice title and subtitle with it. Same thing happening on the next slide. We just simply rotate the plane and the text flies out. So we have the same 3 elements. This one is just rotated to the side and then the text flies out again. Let's see what that looks like. And as soon as you click, the airplane rotates, text flies out, and this sets us up for a nice closing slide, which is the thank you page, where we see the element, the 3D element flies to the left, and then the thank you appears in, and I would say it would look nice if it comes from the bottom, let's say. So let's preview that. And as soon as you click, the thank you appears and it's a nice closing slide. Now for the morph to work correctly, everything needs to be in the same order. So that's why I'm keeping this last addition, the finishing touch to the last, is because we're going to add some clouds to it. And the clouds are going to be an extra layer towards everything. So what I want to do is I'm going to put the clouds onto the different pages. So let's start with this one, make it a bit smaller, and I'll link to the clouds in the description below so you can just add them as a PNG. And maybe add a second cloud here. That gives us quite a nice overview of the slide. Of course, we add something, we need to add that to the previous slide as well. And the clouds, they can come in from, let's do it from the bottom, and maybe this one from the left side. So if we preview that again, we can click and we have the clouds and the airplane fly in, and it's really cool that we have this sort of 3D depth that we're creating on the slide with the clouds and the airplane. So let's continue that for the next slides. For this one, the clouds can go, maybe they move up. You can also scale them upwards or downwards. So I can scale the clouds like this. And this one, I can make it smaller and to the left. You can really play around with any of the positioning, the size, as you like it. And then if we preview that again, from the second slide, you can click and you see the clouds kind of move with the slide and the morph transition. I always like to copy the clouds from that slide and then add some more. Here we have quite a lot of space to fill, so I'm going to add them like this again, make them a bit smaller, a bit larger, the other one a bit smaller again, and maybe add a third one here at the top. But that also means it has to fly in from somewhere, so I'm going to let it fly in from the side on this one. Let's see what that gives. So if I now click, the clouds will change, the one at the top comes in, and it gives this really nice effect. It makes everything pop just a little bit more. Those 3 clouds, I'm going to copy them to this margin slide, so we don't need to do anything with that one. And then for the two-seater plane, let's keep working with the 3 clouds, but maybe make this one smaller at the bottom. This one we kind of position towards the bottom here. And this one we can also position to the right. This gives us quite a clean look, as you can see here. So let's see if everything works nicely. And if we then click, the airplane flies in, takes the text, and the clouds still move. Really cool. And then the last 2 slides, copy this clouds once more. And I'm going to just shift them around just a little bit. And then also copy those to the thank you slide. Maybe here again, one larger one at the bottom. Let's maybe do the other one larger this time to make some variation. Shift them around. There we go. I think that will look quite nice. And let's preview the entire presentation. So in today's tutorial, we've seen how to use this nice 3D model in PowerPoint, where if you click, you get the nice fly-in effect of a 3D element with the title and clouds. And as soon as you click again, you kind of rotate with the element and add some new content to the slide, with the clouds adding to that extra level of depth. You can play around with the 3D model also as a picture and really create a stunning 3D presentation in PowerPoint in just a few minutes, I would say. You can add as many details or as many content as you like, but this presentation will guarantee stun the audience. Thanks a lot for watching. If you want to learn more about PowerPoint, please watch the video on the screen right now.